Growing Deer TV is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops. Also by Reconics, Trophy Rock, Gallagher, Muddy Outdoors, Eagle Seed, Nikon, Barnes, Redneck Hunting Blinds, Derby City Turkey Calls, Ansman, and Antler Dirt.
It's March 9th today, and it's my wedding anniversary. Trace and I have been married 15 years. 15 years ago, we were in the mountains of South Carolina, and it was wicked cold, in the teens and wet, kind of like today. And I used to have a tree nursery, a wildlife tree nursery, pears, persimmons, stuff like that. I've always been a workaholic, and I had about 300 trees I needed to deliver that morning before my wedding. I remember how cold it was because they had frozen to the bed of U-Haul truck I'd rented to deliver those trees, and I had to call some buddies, and they didn't want to show up so I'd be late for my wedding. I couldn't get them unfroze. So thinking about cold and going into March, it's cold today throughout most of the Whitetail's range and wet. And although Brad talked last week about clover and green vegetation, and you don't get usually that energy content out of green growing 4-H, that's protein. Even through March, in most of the Whitetail's range, we still need grain, soybeans or corn, because they have so much more energy than green growing 4-H. So today in mid-March, we're going to talk about grain and how important that is to carry your deer herd all the way till it truly warms up so they can have great anniversaries in the future. This is a utilization cage, and of course we've talked about them a lot here on Growing Deer TV. And this is a really small field, like 1/8 of an acre, and outside this utilization cage there are very few bean pods anywhere. And I can assure you those few pods had an insect or something was wrong, because they've cleaned this like a cold marriage, buddy. I mean, it's ugly, like no supper when you come home from work. But inside the utilization cage, look at this stalk here. I mean, there's just pods all the way up it. Gosh, in a drought year, we had a wicked drought year last year, and this thing is chest tall on me. So we provided a lot of food and 4-H here, and this was a small hunting plot, still just had tremendous yield off our Eagle Seed 4-H soybeans. So it carried on till fairly late in winter. 3-4 weeks ago, there were still some bean pods here. Without this cage, if I just walked by and saw this and I hadn't known it or driven by this road a lot as I hunt the property, I might have thought this was a failure, that the pods didn't develop or something was wrong, it was just stems. But the utilization cage tells me that I had great production and the deer utilized them, hence the name utilization cage, to carry them through this harsh winter. Now Brad and I are just getting ready to go, just 200 yards, we'll show you right across the creek, and we have a feeding field. This is a small hunting plot, a feeding field. That one has to be several acres in size, and show you the difference when you can get more quantity in one area. No doubt the deer here know that field's there, and we want to show you the difference and why it's so important to manage your property with small hunting plots where deer are comfortable coming out in the daylight hours and feeding fields so they can express their full potential. Come along with us. Corn is one of the best sources of energy for a whitetail herd in the winter, and in the winter, energy is a limited resource. You can get lots of sources of protein through native vegetation if you've got prescribed fire or timber cutting going on or whatever, but energy is a limited resource, and the energy from corn is much more digestible and readily available than, let's say, rough acorns or something like that. Now, this is about a 4-acre patch of corn that didn't grow very thick because of wireworm, and we're talking about that more this spring as we're planting and what we have to do to get on top of wireworm, but most of this corn is gone. We had just enough. There's a few full ears we found as Brad and I walked through here, not many. A lot of partial, or not many partial actually. Most of it's this, and it will kind of fake you out because as you look behind me, you say, well, Grant, there's a lot of corn there, but most of it is just husk like this with no ear inside. The deer have already consumed it. And one of the beautiful things about a crop of corn is most genetic varieties anymore, of course, the ear grows up, and as it ripens, it falls over, and the husk protects the ear of corn from moisture or most insects and whatnot. Deer have no problem peeling that back and eating what's inside, just like Christmas mornings. If you have the room, food plot size, anywhere from Florida to Canada, there's a variety of corn that will work well in your area, and it will certainly be a great tool for you to manage your deer herd to express their full potential. Literally just 150 yards behind us is where Brad and I started this morning in the little hunting food plot, less than an acre, and deer had wiped it all out except inside the utilization cage. But just across the creek and coming here, plenty of beans pods left. My goodness, this stalk is as tall as my nose. Look around, lots of food. It's about a 4-acre field, and that's important no matter whether you're managing 40 acres or 1,400 acres. Have a big feeding destination field where deer can get to at night in the comfort and safety of night and have all they want to feed and hold grain late into the winter, early spring, so they're not stressing out in these cold, tough temperatures, because I'm cold out here today. By providing this and having a destination field where there's plenty of high energy, high protein food to eat, you don't want to hunt it and condition deer to avoid it. Brad and I hunted within 200 or 300 yards in several directions of here, but we didn't want to hunt right here and spook the deer off of it. And that's a great strategy to keep the deer on your property, well fed, expressing their potential. Certainly those deer that were 150 yards away that cleaned that field also ate in here. There was just such a volume of great food here, they couldn't get on top of it all. Just another strategy to allow the deer on your property to express their full potential. No doubt with all of this and these cold days, there's fresh droppings, deer eating in here. We'll have bigger antlers and better fawns next year, 2011 season, because we had a big centrally located feeding field. Thanks for watching GrowingDeer.tv. There's a half a bushel of beans on one plant. I might hang my tree stand on that thing.